You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Batuta Advocate, on Desert Rock FM. Welcome back to the Batuta Advocate radio show. You're talking to Clancy Overall and Wendell Hussey today. These are your hosts. We've got a special guest in today, someone who we've been following, tracking the trajectory for quite some time now. Channel Trez, thank you for joining us. Channel, we want to kind of talk to you a little bit about this trajectory that we have kind of witnessed. We would say popped up on our radar 2018, early 2019, when we saw you live at Splendor in the Grass. What's happened with you since then? Have you how did you handle the creativity in the lockdowns and out of that shit and the kind of chaotic couple of years since?
I got wasted.
Yep.
A lot of drinking and other things, and a lot of making music and eating. And then I realized that I can't live like that.
Yep.
And so I came back working out a lot, sober, and just having a good time now.
Living in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Well, that's a great place to be living clean, man.
Yeah.
The home of biohacking.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you start to see the city different.
Bulletproof coffee?
Something like that.
Is it a hard place to stay sober in, LA?
No, I thought it was at first, but it's like you just see the city differently, There's a lot of like fun things to do and just like different things like, shit I would pass up or wouldn't do, or women I wouldn't hang out with, or different things. So now it's just kind of like, oh, I'm starting to see the city a little different.
Yeah. Shit you'd pass up for a party usually.
Yep, pretty much.
Now, you grew up, when we spoke to you backstage back in the day, you were telling us you're from Compton.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure of the geographics of Los Angeles. Is that a big area, or is it, there's only a select few?
It's just outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
They call it Los Angeles County. So it's like a freeway over, but it's small. It was a big city to me when I was younger, but now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, it's really small. Everybody knows everybody and different things.
Now, we're not unfamiliar with Compton, mainly due to the saturation of American media in Australia growing up, particularly NWA, Kendrick Lamar, The Game. We've all seen those guys. They come here. Could you tell us what your influences were growing up? Would it be a wild assumption to think that you were listening to that stuff coming out of there, or were you into all kinds of stuff?
I mean, that stuff was just played naturally. Dr. Dre and like Ice Cube and Dub C, like that stuff was being naturally played just because of the area I grew up in. But I was very I grew up with my great grandparents, so a lot of oldies, gospel music, and jazz, and I had to go to church all the time, so I was just surrounded by like music just in general.
Playing music at church as well?
Yeah, played drums.
That's a very Australian story. A lot of our musicians kind of come out of the church, and one thing we've had in conversations with, some are still practicing, some have, in their mind, particularly when it's Pentecostalism, they break out to play rock and roll music or whatever. And they say it actually gave them a good experience, giving them an instrument and an audience so early in life. Did you feel that?
Yeah, definitely. Because in church you have to do like maybe, for Easter and like for Christmas, you got plays, so you have rehearsal. Being a drummer, I had to go to rehearsal every Tuesday, and then if we would travel, I would play different like churches traveling. I played drums at school, so it was just it's not the same as kind of now, but it gets you in like the practice and the regiments and like knowing how to show up for a performance and different things like that. So it works, makes sense.
And what age or when did you start looking at music as being a thing that might be a career, something that's like, I'm going to do this full time, or when was it something that you started to pursue?
When I was 18. Since I grew up naturally around music, I didn't see it as like something that could be a career. But when I turned 18, I'm just filling out college applications and stuff. You seen that there were music programs, and then when I would go to visit different campuses, they would have studios and different things, and I was like, oh, I could study this, So I ended up going to school for it.
You went to a private Christian uni in Oklahoma. Yeah. I wanted to ask about that. What is that like? Like here in Australia, I feel like we have a couple of Christian universities. They're pretty similar to just normal universities, just with a slight Christian element to it. Is it
A
like
lot more
that?
nursing.
Yeah, a lot more nursing, a lot of teaching,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. What's it kind of like in America, particularly in Oklahoma, a Christian uni?
Well, Oklahoma is what they call like the Bible Belt. So that means like it's very religious and very like right wing Christianity.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of televangelist film and different things. And so it was very, very Christian.
Yeah.
Like, you know, split dorm rooms. All the guys stay here. You know, they make the dorms co-ed on Sundays or one Sunday a month or some shit, and you have a curfew. You know,
It sounds pretty strict, man.
it was crazy. I mean, I got through it. I moved off campus maybe my junior year, and then I kind of started doing what I wanted to do. But those first couple years was very sheltered, but it was good for me being from LA. I'm used to like, you know, I've been on my own since 17, so I was just used to living a fast life and kind of doing whatever I wanted. So I kind of needed the structure and some type of like thing to get me through, you know.
Yeah.
Parameters. Yeah.
Yeah, the religious stuff didn't really stick, but the other things, you know, that I had to do stuck, you know, just different things. Because I grew up very like, you know, even though I grew up with my great-grandparents, I still was kind of a street kid. So like there's certain things I just didn't know to do, you know, manners, shit like that, you know.
And so you picked that up at the college kind of thing?
Yeah, I picked it up in school because I was around kids that were homeschooled most of their life or sheltered and different things. And they, you know, I'm in my dorm room, like, I don't even read the syllabus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just like, whatever, you know, and like they're up on class and up on shit like way before. And I'm just like, how did y'all know this? Do this in the syllabus. Or like, you know, they're going to bed early. I'm up all night, you know, smoking weed, coming back to the campus and shit. Like, and I'm just like, oh, okay, if I want to like, you know, kind of catch up to where they're going, I got to change some things in my life.
So not a lot of partying from the Christian homeschool kids
I partied.
on Christian college.
I partied
You
a lot.
partied,
Yeah,
yeah. But
for
did
some,
you
find
had to
it-
find a few people?
Yeah, I mean the people that are like that, we end up finding each other.
They always find each other.
Yeah,
You know?
and
You're not going to walk past
yeah.
them.
I was high most of the time during that time of my life.
And then tell me, back to LA, back to Compton, or when? The question we ask a lot of particularly musicians is, when did you know? Like he's asked already, Wendell's already asked, when did you think you were going to do this for a job? When did you know there was no turning back? When did you know that you were gaining traction and this is, you know, and things were going as planned?
It's probably like my senior year
Yeah.
in school. I was just like DJing and doing gigs around the city. And, you know, I just like, when I got off the plane, my friend invited me to a studio session. I was with CeeLo Green.
All right.
And we were just producing and stuff. And then it started picking up. You know, I had a couple classes to finish, and I was just like, right, you know, I started teaching over the summer for a second, and then I just was like, oh man, I'm in the studio all night, then I got to go to this classroom. And like, I just was like, I mean, I couldn't like do the normal thing anymore. Like, you know, I started dressing different. I started just wanting to be myself more. I couldn't really keep up the facade of like trying to be in the, like, what is it, blue collar world, something like that. Like I couldn't really be in that. Like I had to do what I wanted to do creatively. I had to move the way I wanted to move. I had to be able to sit when I wanted to sit and like really be able to download ideas or different things like that. So I knew like around that time, and I was probably about 22, 23, and I just kind of, you know, quit all my jobs and like just did music. Was homeless for a while, and, like was couch surfing.
Went all in.
Yeah, and then it eventually worked out.
So tell me from there, touring. You know, you might do different cities, you might go different places. You know, you were all of a sudden in places like Byron Bay or, you know, different countries. What are some of the lessons you learn, and what are some of the first things that you kind of have to get used to in that kind of world? Because that, you know, that's an intensive part of the job. People think being a rock star, being a rap star, being a musician, people think that is the high life. In fact, musicians have written songs about how people think that. One that comes to mind is, Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, I think it is. Money for nothing and chicks for free. But it's not that. You're living out of briefcases, you're living out of suitcases, you're living out of hotel rooms, you're backstage with other artists who you all hate each other. Everyone knows that's the case. Everyone's secretly rivals. Like, what was that like? Becoming a mercenary in that world.
First, yeah, of course, I had a fantasy about it. I'm thinking people gonna hold my hand or tell me how to be or whatever. And the crazy part about this shit, you can get whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. But everything you want to do and everything you want to get is not necessarily the best for you. And so the first few years of getting into this, of course, women, drugs and fucking staying out all night, playing shows, my voice going hoarse and all kind of things. I'm just getting sick, but, still drinking, just still going crazy. I allowed my vices to kind of take over. And then, I started to hate it, because I was like, it's my job. Now I got to do it because I need money. So I started to hate it. And then that was the kind of good thing about the pandemic. It allowed me to kind of sit back and see if I really wanted to even do this or, that was never a question. Of course, this is what I wanted to do, but the reasoning why I want to do it had to change, and it had to come from a deeper place of wanting to, one, make my family proud, but also change the stigma of where I grew up and kind of break that statistic and really see this as an opportunity to be a good part of history of my city and, and create a good lineage for my family, different things. I'm the first to do a lot of things in my family. So seeing that mantle is not pressure or something to resist, but kind of accept it and just and just try to treat this different and really realize that a lot of people would dream to do this, and I can do this. So just kind of look at it from that angle instead of using it as a platform to just be, self-sabotage or whatever.
Have as much fun as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And was going sober, was that a big part of falling back in love with music?
I was always in love with music. I think it just helped me not trauma vomit over everything anymore. Just blah.
That's funny that you mentioned this very admirable kind of turnaround, because the next question we're going to ask you is if you remembered meeting us in AAA at Splendor in the Grass.
Probably not. Wait, were y'all the ones that gave me that damn pen and it was DMT? That wasn't y'all?
That was
okay,
not, but
cool.
we met you before that.
Oh,
we met you down back the back tent. You came up to us and you said, man, these Australians, they're not very fun to party with. What are you guys doing? And we were standing in a tent by ourselves, and we hung out for a little while. But yeah, we partied. And to your credit, he came good with the tickets he offered us while we were partying. He came DM'd us and said, he said, tickets to, who were you touring with then? Was it?
Gambino?
Yeah, Gambino. You offered us the tickets. We couldn't make it, but it was in Sydney. So
see, I was a nice guy. Still.
Yeah. That could have been. That's that very backstage late at night. Yeah, I'll sort you out with tickets. No worries.
We followed each other on Instagram, and then he DM'd a couple of days later. I said, "Man, this is a real one."
Yeah,
and,
I'm still. Nice
and that
guy.
was apparently you in your bad boy days. So you must be a real good guy now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I never really was bad. I just like to go to the edge of I just like having fun.
Yeah, and probably much younger than now. You would have been in your mid-20s then.
Yeah, I was about 26, so I could handle it.
No, Dave was there, the British musician. We were all anyway. The listeners don't want to hear about how much fun we have doing these interviews. So,
out the back of music festivals, hanging out.
Yeah.
I had a question I wanted to ask you about. We're a podcast based out here in regional Queensland, inland Australia. Compton House. You're described as the inventor of Compton House. How would you describe Compton House to some of our listeners? How would you describe it? What would it be?
It's just basically what I do as far as just taking the influence that I've had with house music and then kind of also the mix of West Coast kind of flow with that. So it's just kind of what I call what I do. You know, the blend of certain things you put together.
Yeah.
One thing about the West Coast and the Compton kind of origins, you can go into any kind of club, any kind of gym, any kind of place where there's a lot of kind of any active environment where there's a lot of movement, and you're going to hear, you know, the DNA of G-Funk, which has always been interesting to me, just because it has stood the test of time, you know, and we're talking almost 35, 40 years ago when this all started happening. Do you feel inspired by that particular sound, the synth, real motherfucking G's? What was the original synth that we used to, like the Dr. Dre and
the Moog,
and those kind of guys?
The Moog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those squeals that you all know.
Yeah, Battle Cat is the creator of G-Funk. He's a producer from Los Angeles. But, yeah,
Is that in the golden thread of your music?
Yeah, it goes back to, like, Parliament and, George Clinton, different things like that. And so that's just the sound of palm trees. And,
Is that what you think? Palm trees and
lowriders.
Lowriders. Yeah.
That's how I grew up.
Yeah, for sure. Are you feeling the community, the people who live among the palm trees and the lowriders responding and feeling that in your music?
I think so. We got some sold out shows in LA, so I think so. I'm kind of like, a lot of my big bros are like, Ty Dolla $ign and like Terrace Martin, like, Thundercat and different things. Those are all LA musicians, and like, everybody kind of just, we know what we got there, and like, I grew up with a lot of those dudes in church and stuff, so it's like, yeah, they're responding, everybody's responding. It just speaks to the versatility of, Los Angeles, and like, it's just a lot of geniuses come up from there,
And then when you bring that sound around the world, where are you finding these pockets of fans? That's the one thing I say about music in today, and one thing you can see with it is, people from all over the world have access to you and what you're making, and what your output. Are you finding fans in places you didn't even think of, or you certainly didn't have in mind when you were making the music?
I think I leaned over to, like, when I got into techno and house music, I think I leaned like to that sound more so to like kind of break through with fans, and then like also with the performance, and also I'm a DJ, so I'm playing like, in the DJ set, I'm playing all kind of stuff, and with the live show, I think if you're just a fan of like performance and like entertainment and like, of like pop star shit, like I think you'll love my show, because I love bridging the underground and the mainstream, and that's just kind of how I do. And then like, I've heard that like, my show is the type of show that if you're not a fan and you come watch it, you're just gonna like it anyway, because it's so entertaining. So
I become a fan.
Yeah,
just gonna have a good time, because I feel like Australia, you blew up 2018 in Australia, and that was big. Like that
They've
was
been
cult
talking
there,
about you ever
Controller.
since,
Yeah. When you're out here for
that was it. Yeah.
Was that happening in other places around the world, or were we first on it?
Australia was first for sure. We came over here, and that was like my first time really touring like this.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty crazy. And then, I went back to LA and just built. Went back to the US and just built it from small venues. 100 people rooms, 200 people rooms. Opening for artists, just building it like that. And then, this year was really a breakout year for me, just doing a US tour and just selling out different places and different things. And,
Yeah, because you've got run of sold out shows in big cities across America. What are the best places to go to? Where do you have the most fun? And maybe that's like a double question in the sense of now you're more sober.
Well, now he has other ways of
Has it
fun.
changed? Yeah, has it kind of changed?
I think I'm having more fun now because I think one thing I realized, I was like, I'm already on a high from just shows and just doing what I'm like, living my dreams. So it's like I don't need to add anything else to it. I'm just kind of like, I'm good, like my high is sleep now. And like,
waking up from sleep too. Yeah,
a beautiful woman, something like that. And
those nice fluffy hotel beds. That melt
y'all got washing machines in the hotels here, which is really amazing.
Do your own shit.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway, we've enjoyed this chat, and we're loving the direction you're heading, man. We obviously we're all fans and we're all listening to you, and we hope to see you in action, for many, many more decades.
Definitely.
And I think you're on the right trajectory to do that now. Clear mind, clean eating. He's in LA now going to art shows and shit. So it's a bit different to old Barney's Beanery down there in West Hollywood. Thanks for joining us, Channel Trez.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.